They're all in line. They're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And Knicks Go goes up to the early lead as expected. Art Collector is up and on the pace. Stiletto Boy is on the outside. Then Hot Rod Charlie. Tripoli has the rail. Essential Quality is in behind them. And Medina Spirits outside of horses. Reined off the pace by John Velasquez early on. Max Player at the back of the pack. So it's Knicks Go in front. Through this opening quarter mile, Knicks Go leads it by 3/4 of a length over Art Collector, and they complete the quarter in 23.16 seconds. Medina Spirit is caught out there 3 wide. Hot Rod Charlie is in behind the leaders, drafting in 4th. And then comes Essential Quality right behind him, alongside of Stiletto Boy. A 3 wide Max Player is next, and Tripoli is unhurried at the back of the field, 7 lengths off of Knicks Go, who will take them to the backstretch. Knicks Go and Joel Rosario a length and a half in front. And then it's Art Collector, followed on the outside by Medina Spirit. The first half, 45.77 seconds. So Knicks Go is moving right along here. Up the backstretch at Del Mar with a 2.5 length lead. Art Collector, Hot Rod Charlie, and Medina Spirit are right behind them. Then comes Stiletto Boy. Essential Quality is on the rail. He's got 5 lengths to make up. Max Players of the 3-path. Tripoli is the trailer. It is Knicks Go on top, 3/4 at 110.04 seconds. He leads the way by 2 lengths on the far turn. Art Collector on the outside is second. Hot Rod Charlie is on the rail. Then Medina Spirit. Essential Quality has come under a ride as they make their way to the top of the stretch. It is Knicks Go, and he's going to try to take him the distance here. Knicks Go comes wide for the stretch drive. Hot Rod Charlie on the inside is second, and then comes Medina Spirit, Art Collector, and Essential Quality into the final furlong, and it is Knicks Go. Knicks Go has a 2.5 length lead. Medina Spirit, Hot Rod Charlie, Essential Quality. Knicks Go, a superstar, wins the Breeders' Cup Classic. Medina Spirit was second, Essential Quality was third, and Hot Rod Charlie was fourth, and a final time of 1:59.57.
How cool is that? Hey, everybody, Ranker Others here for the Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday. Knicks Go there, winning the 2021 Breeders' Cup Classic. This is a horse who's on a very short list of horses to have won 2 different divisions of the Breeders' Cup. He also won the Dirt Mile the year prior to that. And then do not forget, because I think a lot of people do, he was second in the 2018 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. What a horse. He's finally got babies on the track, and he's represented by a really nice one in Ewing. Clever name. Why not? Why wouldn't you expect a clever name? Because he's owned in part by DJ Stables, and that includes Jon Green.
Hey, Ren, how are you?
Doing well. Oh my gosh. Like, how cool. It had to be you, right? Were you the genius behind Ewing?
Well, you know, the nice thing about the partnership is that we were all throwing in some information, and thankfully everyone agreed with the name that we came up with. But there were a lot of great names, and you know what? They all sound great when the horse rises up to the occasion and wins first time out, which is a little unusual for our trainer, 2-time Hall of Fame Mark Cassie.
Oh my gosh, I know he's a maestro. What can you say?
Well, one of the things I've learned in working, we're now in year 6 of working with Mark Cassie. And one of the things that he told me almost day one, 6 years ago, is I don't pressure my babies. I let them come through their first, second, third race, get experience. If they're talented enough to win, so be it. I'm not going to tell them not to, but that's not my end game. I'm trying to build a career, not a race. And that's kind of, zigging when everyone else is zagging. Everyone wants these early developing first-time winners, off-the-screen winning 2-year-olds. But as you've seen by Mark's recent resume and our fortunate, luck, we've had some good babies, and a lot of them don't win first time out, including Nitrogen for that matter.
Oh my gosh. We'll talk about Nitrogen in a little bit. We have to, even though this is a 2-year-old show. But let's talk a little bit about Knicks Go. You got a great relationship with TaylorMade, and that is where he stands. And he stands for such a beyond reasonable price. I think was it $12,500?
Yeah, and it was $7,500, I think, the first year.
I mean, this is ridiculous. And yet Ewing, obviously a lot of people saw something they liked because he went for 585, I believe.
You're exactly right. And it's interesting, right? Because there's so many layers to peel back on this horse. We bought him at the spring sale. It was funny because Joe Bianca and I, who do our podcast together, I represent DJ, he represents West Point. And whenever there's a top horse on our list, we always compare notes because we don't want to bid against each other. So we came together and said, hey, this is our top horse. And Joe was like, hey, this is our, one of our top 2 horses as well. Why don't we go ahead and partner? We sat down with Terry Finley from his side and my dad on our side, came up with a number, and we said, we're going to go to 350, maybe 400, which is a lot of money for a 3-year-old, let alone an unproven horse of any kind. And we were bidding, and Joe and I stopped at like 400 and started to like kind of get down a little bit because you get bummed when you have in your head, hey, I'm going to get this horse. He's going to.
You know who you were bidding against? Can you call him out?
I'm not even going to say, but I said, all right, I'm done. And it was really funny because Terry turned to my father and said, okay, Len, are you ready? And my dad like rolled up his sleeves and he was like, he didn't say game on, but he was like, hold my beer, and he and Terry went to the back ring at that point. And Joe and I stayed at the kiddie table at that point and just kind of waited. And when we saw that the horse sold for 585, we were like, do you think we got him? And Joe started laughing. He goes, of course we got him. Like that, basically at that point, Len and Terry were taking no prisoners. So as much as I would love to say that it was a horse that I purchased, in reality, it was one that we had really picked out. Didn't expect him to sell that much, but he was just such a man amongst boys at that sale.
Yeah, he looks like a tank.
Yeah. And then Ren, the other thing that a lot of your audience may appreciate is here's a horse that was an RNA for 40,000 as a yearling. And it was because there wasn't a lot of buzz about Knicks Go.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because he's 15.3? I mean, Northern Dancer was around that size.
Yeah, I think people love to be petty geeks and pedigree snobs. And the fact that he's a Bayern, the fact that he doesn't really have, that much, he's not royally bred like a lot of these horses.
Well, no, because Painter, here's the thing he's by Painter.
What did I say? Painter?
You said Bayern, but that's okay because you know what? You might have Bayern on the mind because he's a Haskell winner in Haskell's this weekend.
Right, Haskell's this week. Yeah, exactly.
And
Thank you for getting me off on that one. And it's no knock against the lineage that he has, because obviously he outran his own pedigree. And
from 2 to
kept doing it. Yeah, and kept doing it at different distances. He and different styles. Like he was a horse that we're going to look back on and say that we all undervalue tremendously, including me. So
I told you, did I not? Everybody, I just want this for posterity.
Yeah.
Did I not tell you? I said I think these Knicks Go's are going to be sneaky good.
You know what though, Ren, you don't, you're like, oh, I stepped in horse shit. There must be a pony here. Like, you're the most optimistic person I've ever met in the horse industry.
You
have to
be. You have to be.
You have to be, because they're all undefeated until they're not, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Everybody's got a Derby winner until they don't.
Exactly. So anyway, so it's just an interesting story because he was overlooked as a yearling. And a lot of people thought, well, maybe he just wasn't developed as much. There was some writing on his vet report. If you went to the consignor and they show you the vet reports, and basically it's a summary of like what you're going to see if you look at the x-rays. Mm-hmm. And a lot of veterinarians, I'm not saying this one, a lot of veterinarians will put more detail in there than is required, because they're kind of covering their ass and they're kind of saying, okay, I'm going to put every single little deficiency in here possible, so nobody can come back and say, well, you didn't tell me this. So sometimes horses have writing in their descriptions, for their vet reports. The key is you have to have people who are reading those reports have an understanding of what they're reading. And a lot of trainers don't have that. And a lot of owners definitely don't have that. So if you don't have somebody that can kind of decipher the writing and be able to explain it to a 5-year-old like me and say good, bad, too much of a risk is okay. then people get scared off, and there's so many horses that sell on a sale that they just overlook it. So I think that was part of the reason why he didn't bring the $40,000 reserve. And I think also by the time from September, October until he sold in March, he developed so much, and he showed on the racetrack that he was a really good racehorse. And I think that's what opened a lot of people's eyes on Ewing specifically, is that he had accomplished a lot between his yearling year and his 2-year-old year. So there's a lot less risk, on the table at that point.
Well, definitely. Have you had people come up to you since, been like, oh man, I thought about maybe getting that horse as a yearling and I backed away?
Yeah, not so much people came up to us and said it was on my list, but I know, I'm very good friends with Mark Roberts and Dan Hall and the group at Hidden Brook that sold him as a yearling or consigned him as a yearling and sold him as a 2-year-old. Hey, Dennis.
Hi, Dennis.
And then, and basically their comments were people should ignore the reports. You should buy the horse, not the report. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's fair necessarily to say it as bluntly as that. I think you have to understand the report and then make a decision. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of people who said the horse is a really nice horse and, congratulations. There haven't been as many who have been bold enough to come out and say, I was the underbidder or I really like the horse. I think people are still kind of waiting to see whether or not he can get to the next level. And that's always the question.
This question here, will you be going to Del Mar for this? He's got to hope he is, right?
I hope the horse is good enough to get to Del Mar and run to the Breeders' Cup, like his pappy. But certainly, that's the end game, is to try to position him where he's got enough points and where he's showing he's got enough talent to be able to warrant that trip, because it's a long trip and it takes a lot out of you. And that's one of the reasons why I think you don't see a lot of 2-year-old champions come back and become 3-year-old Derby contenders by the time the rubber hits the road in April or May, because it's just too much of a grind for them. It's hard for them to continue to be at the top of the game, especially when there's so many new shooters every month.
Well, the goal is, we're always talking about this, you have to find the balance. If you want a really truly great horse that can show such ability, grade 1 talent at 2 years old, but then continue on into that 3-year-old season, contest the classics, you have to find that beautiful balance of precociousness, but durability, and you have to have the mentality. It all has to be there. It's got to be the perfect package, and it's really hard to find these horses because there's a reason why our championships are so difficult to win. But when you do, they earn those honors. I mean, it is so cool. I was saying this to Cherie last week. It's so great when we see horses who have contested our Breeders' Cup, and then their progeny can make the dance as well. There's just something about these horses, like Lady Eli, right? We just saw Dr. Agnew. I know you had a horse in the race. I actually have the replay. Talked to her. It was really cool. She did this little shed row tour for us, and we got to see Dr. Agnew in the stall, and then to see him go out there and win his debut on this. The race was meant for the turf. It had been taken off. He was running on the dirt. But here's the son of Lady Eli, who, Breeders' Cup champion, won the juvenile fillies turf. Was it 2014? I think it was 2014.
It's all blurry together. It had to have been at least 8 or 10 years ago. Yes.
And then to overcome laminitis and then nearly win the filly and mare turf.
Right.
I mean, that was so close.
Yep.
It really is remarkable to see these horses and see that talent, that genetic gold carry through. Now, when we're talking about, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. I see Steph has made a comment. You know Steph, right?
Steph is like our number one fan. Yeah.
Stalker. Get him, Steph. She says, thank you for keeping nitrogen away from immersive this Saturday. Owe you a hamburger at Keeneland September.
Yes. That is for those of you at home, that is the true driver for me. Is I will manipulate the schedule of my horses just to get free food. So yes, I'm an easy sale like that. I love how Steph, like every time I talk to her, usually it's always virtually. There's always a different, horse name in her character list as far as that goes.
If you will notice, not one of those horses is a DJ horse.
I know. I think at one point she had Webby maybe she didn't have Webby, but she asked me about Web Slinger all the time. So I know. Listen, there's a lot of groups, ownership groups that don't have representation in Steph's character list. So I don't take offense to that.
No. And I mean,
although her character list is starting to look more and more like the bottom line of an optician test. There's just so many. Close your right eye and tell me what you see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can make out some of Stradivarius, Justify. I think that's supposed to be Carl Spackler.
Carl Spackler, yeah.
Sierra Leone. The Poe one, that one makes me stumble every time. I can't.
Yeah.
Ushba Tesoro. And I think Sovi is for sovereignty.
Sovereignty. Yeah. Yep.
I'm guessing.
Yep. But yes, I will gladly take a hamburger today for, like the old Popeye. You're too young for Popeye. I would gladly.
No, I'm not. Are you kidding?
I would gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. That's a yes.
Oh my gosh. And Oscar's throwing off the horses.
Of course.
All right. So let's talk about Ewing again, more specifically.
Okay.
So it's so funny. I only heard your dad's post-race commentary today when I was looking back at the replay, and he's so great. Len is brilliant. We all love Len. And actually, let me play this. You guys won't be able to hear us. I don't think we can talk over this. I'm going to play this little clip just so everybody can get the flavor of Len. This isn't from the interview he did post-win, but this is Len at, on point, showing that flavor that I just want to convey to the audience of the man who raised you. So everybody, this is back when Matt and I were on site at Tampa Bay Downs for the Lamb Home South Tampa Bay Derby, and you guys had some horses on the undercard, including Dream On and Nitrogen.
Right.
And this is just a little snippet from the interview we did because we had a surprise guest. We were talking to Mark Casse, and then there was Jon Green. There we go.
How is Sandman doing?
He's doing super.
I mean, it's nice to have an embarrassment of riches, right? You got so many talented horses. This team has just
this guy right here.
And a mile and a quarter right up his alley, potentially.
I would say so, yes.
And how are you feeling today? We don't have Jon Green here.
We don't have Jon Green, so it's a big handicap, supposedly, right? But who do you think taught Jon Green everything?
Right here, you have to have the sire. You got to have the sire power. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
I'm crashing the winner's circle photo if you win.
And I did.
Yes. Two things are true in that little clip. One is that my dad has never seen a microphone he didn't love, and the other thing is that Ren has never seen a winner's circle picture that she didn't want.
No, and I know, no, for sure. And I think what's next for Ewing is the Saratoga Special. And like I said, I'm going to be there that weekend. If he wins, I'm crashing that one as well.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, there's a big crowd.
We'll have to see if I get through security or if he goes to the race.
Yes. So the interesting thing, and this is why, you have to be nimble in the horse business, because after the race, Mark and I spoke the next morning. Ewing came out of it great. He won very impressively, great numbers, didn't take anything out of him, all those things. And Mark said, I really want to wait for the grade one. I want to wait for the hope. Because I want to give him time to develop. As Ren mentioned earlier, he's a hair below 16 hands. That's the horse. Mark is much more below 16 hands than just a hand. And
we all are, John. Let's be honest.
I know we're all vertically challenged. It's true. And what's happened over the past 2 weeks is that the horse is really feeling himself. I mean, he is just absolutely full of energy, full of vim, vigor, and vitality, and wants to do more than what Mark's doing with him. So it looks like that he's telling us, the horse is telling us, that we should really consider running him in the special, Saratoga Special, on August 2nd.
Oh, okay. Well, no, that's where I'm going to be there.
Yeah, just giving the audience the explanation. That's all.
Gotcha.
Because our initial comment.
We're waiting.
Yep.
Yeah, and
I know everyone reads every little thing with bated breath.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people need to know where to move their horses potentially.
Exactly.
They're gambling. We should watch the race, I think.
Sure.
Although I will say this before I show it. I don't know if this was just you thinking, it's Mark, and Mark doesn't necessarily need to win first out, but you had to know this horse was poised to do it, because if you looked at that work tab, it was lit. It was reflecting a horse who was just let me get out there and do my thing.
Yeah.
And so watch the like, as I said, the post-race interview with Len. You weren't even there. It was your birthday. Somehow I missed your birthday. So I'm a terrible friend. I'm so sorry. I would sing happy birthday to you now belatedly, but then that would be cruel also, not just to you, but to our viewers.
We don't want to lose our audience. Exactly.
No, exactly. So I feel awful that I forgot, or, to even acknowledge it. And, but yeah, you weren't there.
No. And it wasn't a reflection on my confidence or lack thereof of Ewing or anything else we were running that weekend. It was, I had already had an event that I had scheduled, months in advance, not knowing that they were going to coincide with, a maiden 2-year-old first time starter. Yeah. But anyway, show the clip. Nobody wants to hear me talk over that.
Nobody wants to hear you talk over that. All right.
Not over that.
Play it.
Right.
We can play it. Let's see here. I got to make sure I've got the correct one. Yeah. America's Day at the Races. Here we go. Sharing and playing. Where did you watch it? On your phone?
I watched it right from my home office.
They're up.
Nice.
An Empire.
Yeah, so it was great. So this part right here is
Yes.
the most unusual part of a Cassie horse, a first-time starter. Usually they break and they kind of settle back because there's other trainers that are emphasizing speed on their horses. And the fact that he broke so alertly and just went right to the lead was a little surprising. The only horse in the race, I should say, that had run before is the Force. She's on a roll. And she had that experience, which is why I think she was keeping up with us for the first half of the race. Yeah. Everyone else was just kind of like, what the hell's going on?
Right. Well, this looked like a workout for him.
Yeah. It really was. And it was like the worst kept secret out there. The horse was 1 to 5. Which for a Cassie firster is like really unusual. So they were, it was more or less just for Ortiz just to keep the horse's mind where he should be, which is the continuing to run through the stretch and the gallop out. But the thing that impressed me the most was just his turn of foot.
Yes.
He left everybody kind of in the dust. And look, you don't know what else was in that race. You can see how excited Mark is. In that race, he looks more relieved than excited. But for us, the important thing was that the horse got a great education and kind of knocked that initial race off of his hopefully soon to be illustrious resume. But he's just got a stride and a half, and that's one of the things that we look for in a young horse, especially. And Kim Valerio, who
I love Kim.
Yeah, and Kim is more than, some people say, well, she's shortlist for you. She does a lot more than shortlist. I mean, she is a confidant. She's somebody that I bounce ideas off of all the time. And I consider her a consultant more so than a shortlister. But she taught me a long time ago that the stride length, regardless of how tall a horse is, the stride length is really what you're looking for. And that's one of the little known secrets that I probably shouldn't say aloud, but that's important to her. And it's something that I've learned and appreciated over the past couple of years.
Well, again, that's just something that should be common sense, though. It shouldn't be surprising, especially when we've seen horses of smaller stature do well and be able to outrun horses at group and grade 1 level. I mean, again, from Northern Dancer to Golikova on turf.
Right.
I mean, these horses, if they have the stride and the heart,
right,
they can get things done. Now, this horse, I do have to pet a geek out a little bit. Okay, so by Knicks Go, and then out of Sassy Alley Joy by Indian Charlie.
Which is huge. Huge, the Indian Charlie side. Yep.
But what I love even more, and our old school racing fans will love this as well, not only does the female family include champion Banshee Breeze, but it is tail female to Kerala, who, if you know your pedigrees, you know she is the dam of Damascus.
Right. Yeah.
I love me some Damascus.
Explains why he's not the tallest and lankiest horse, because Damascus certainly wasn't a big lanky horse either.
But this horse, so you say we're looking at hopefully the Saratoga Special.
Yep.
And you will be there for that one, hopefully.
Yeah, so I can't give all my details, my detailed itinerary out because
I know
security purposes, people.
Yeah, it's not fair to your bodyguards.
Yeah, my people won't let me. But yes, I will be up in Saratoga from the 2nd, probably all the way through that week.
Really?
Yeah, we have a couple of events going on. Plus, you have the Phasic Select sale that we're selling a Justify and a Curlin out of, the TaylorMade that we're very excited about, and it's a great place to kind of meet and see everybody. There's a couple of charity events that we'll be attending and be involved with as well, and also on the business side, Ren, it's a great, we're meeting with the Thoroughbred Racing Initiative, which is one of the groups that I helped form, that helped defeat decoupling in Florida. And just because we won round one doesn't mean that we won the fight. So we're getting the band back together, and we're gonna start to put together some strategies of what to do next, because Florida racing, not to go off on a tangent, Florida racing
tangent away
is not set in stone, certainly, and probably won't be the year-round racing circuit that it's been the past couple of years. But we're working on some things to try to make it best for for the horsemen and of course for the horses.
I know it's tough, because we're looking at the situation there, and the way that we've done things is become just rote.
Yep.
And when something as shocking as what happened a few months ago, and that whole debate and the rush to snatch it from being basically going past the point of no return, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, that took a lot of doing, and we're all so appreciative of the work that you and the rest of the team have put forth. And
Thank you. It took a village and a half. I mean, there were a lot of people that added input and insight and certainly resources, both financial and energy, in order to make that happen. But I think the most important takeaway, Ren, from that whole situation of defeating decoupling, I think it showed for the first time in a long time that if we as an industry come together and try to address an ill or a concern, that we can figure out a way to do it and figure out a way to make it best for the entire industry and kind of grow the sport, as opposed to just trying to protect your own fiefdom and being like, nope, it's mine, and this is the way we've done it, and we've done it this way for decades, and we're not dead yet. That's not a great way to run a business, or certainly to manage an industry. And I think people are starting to realize that, and they're starting to see that collectively there are so many smart people in the business and so many well-heeled people in the business, and they have great relationships with lawyers and with politicians and with union members, and we really could make this sport a phenomenal sport, not just kind of a destination site for the first weekend of May and the first weekend of November. And we have that ability, and we've earned back our social. I know I'm going on a soapbox here, but we've earned back our social
Go
license.
for it.
We've earned back our social license by making sure that literally 99% of the races are without incident. And that wasn't the case. And we've made it so, the bad guys are kind of rotting away in jail, and as well they should, or they're getting suspended, or there's, investigations going on currently to try to see if people are doing things the right way or if they're taking an edge. And I think all those factors now are filtering through our industry, where it's it's a safer, stronger, better industry than it was even 2 years ago, I would say.
Yeah, well, we always have to remember, a divided house cannot stand. So
that's right. I remember hearing that one somewhere. Yeah,
somewhere, right? Now we know where. But I look at for me, when my focus is so much on 2-year-olds, I'm always thinking of hope. You talked about my optimism, right? I think that's it. But at the same time, we do have to acknowledge when there are things that aren't so rosy and just putting the head in the sand, so to speak. And
and like you said before, I think that we as an industry got used to doing things the same way over and over again, and it was okay. It didn't hurt. It wasn't the best way to do things, but you know what? People were still coming out and buying horses, and they were still coming out to the races, and they were still betting on horses, and there was still kind of a genuine interest in the industry. And then a lot of things changed.
A lot of things changed
between us not having the only game in town to bet on. We didn't have the social license anymore. There were scandals that were, that were out there that gave, the average person, the average American, gave them pause to wonder if we should even be in business anymore, or if we should go the way of the Greyhounds and Highlight and other industries. So there were a lot of factors. The gene pool is shrinking. Economically, it's not as favorable to racehorses at below a certain level anymore. I mean, there's a lot of things that where you'd say, why would you be in this crazy business when you have all those factors against you? And me personally, I think it emboldened me to say, I want to have this business be around. I've enjoyed this business for 40 years. I want to have this business around at least for another 40 years. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is by recognizing that we need to make some changes. And it's through efforts like yourself and other people that are willing to be vocal and say, the emperor's not wearing any clothes and we need to fix this in order to do it, because there's a lot of people that would love the business to stay the way it is because it's stacked in their favor. But I think that you're starting to see now that, change can be a very positive thing.
Yeah. And some things, because of change is what, as you're talking about, is what enables that longevity. And I, just personally speaking, I look at, for example, is the fact that Tampa Bay Downs, we're going to be celebrating our 100th season next year.
Wow. Yeah.
100th. Obviously, I haven't been there for the full 100 years, but looking good. No,
yeah, exactly. It's the Iranian blood in you.
Rocky, hello. But, we're like cousins anyway. So Rocky on, close enough. we both have hummus. It's all good.
Right.
But yeah, we want to preserve, but we also need to adapt.
Sure.
So,
okay.
I mean,
that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. And I'm just glad that we have so many savvy people who understand the industry. As you just mentioned, you've been in it for decades, and don't look it, but you have, and yet you understand the business side of it. You understand a lot of the minutia that others might not necessarily get. You understand the things that are sort of almost held as, I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but sacred, in terms of, well, this has to stay the way this is, but this is something that we can adapt, we can change, we can make it better. And, I think a fan outreach obviously is huge. And if you, as you mentioned, if you have bad news, it's hard to get new people in because they're focused on that. Yep. But at the end of the day, what we have that no other, industry has, no other sport, is we have the horses. Right. We have these horses who put it out there, and they're all heart, they're all guts. And I just love it. It is funny. They all have their own personalities. You might have one that has an ego, but at least,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're running for the love of it.
They're running for the love of it. They're running because it's inbred in them to be a pack animal and to try to be the alpha, try to be the one in front. And sometimes we as humans get in their way. And we don't listen. We don't really want to see necessarily what's going on. And I think that that's been cleaned up a lot, especially over the past couple of years. So I'm very, very proud of all those accomplishments. But I think you're also, if you look at the numbers, if you're a numbers person out there and you look at the numbers and you look to see, who some of the top owners and trainers were, in the 2015, 2016, 2018, 2020, and then you look at their numbers now, you're not going to see a lot of common names of who were the leading owners and trainers 10 years ago compared to today. And I'm not saying that all those people 10 years ago were cheating and taking advantage, but I'm saying that now things are on an even more even playing field, at least. So it's back to horsemanship as opposed to pharmacy.
And also, though, there is sort of a curve, I feel like, for the governing body to adapt to themselves also in terms of, right. I mean, but it's all a process, and hopefully, everything works out for the best. The more feedback that comes through, trying to adjust and tweak things. I mean, for example, we've heard some horses getting scratched and it wasn't necessarily for a good reason. Some horses just move awkwardly. That's who they are. Yep. These are all things to take into consideration. But yeah, I mean, hopefully onward and upward. And thank you again for everything that you and your team are doing to ensure that racing perseveres for hopefully generations and generations to come.
Exactly.
Yeah, you'll be like a pedigree note.
I've been called worse, so that's
no,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of calling in names, I got to call you out here, actually. So I'm looking at the names of your 2-year-olds, right? I'm like, do you not remember that I happened to win your Kentucky Derby contest 2 years ago, and the prize was to name a horse, and you guys reserved the name, and the name has still not yet been applied, and it's an awesome name. Hopefully, it's just because you're waiting for the horse that you know is going to be Grade 1 Hall of Fame champion.
I would love to say I remember that, Ren, but I'm sorry, I
That's
don't.
a great name too. You have it reserved.
All right, we have it reserved. So we have a new crop of yearlings coming through the pipeline now. So we'll make sure that we attach it properly. But I don't think the name I'm Ren Carruthers, that's why, is a good name. And it doesn't roll off the tongue.
That wasn't it, but it was actually one word. You know, I love a one-word name.
I know. Then you got to go with the one word. Anyway, let's talk more about 2-year-olds because
let's talk about a horse who does have one name or one other than Ewing. Although, let me ask really quickly: does Patrick Ewing know that?
So Patrick Ewing, I don't know if his team knows, if his group knows that the horse was named. You know, ironically enough, Knicks Go isn't really supposed to be named.
I know
Knicks
it's Knicks Go, right? Because it's
Korean Nick Go. Yeah, exactly. So, but we as you know, as all assuming, you know, Americans were like, oh, that's Knicks Go, of course, you know. Anyway, yeah. So we went with Ewing. One of the partners or the investors at West Point, who I guess is a doctor, had the genuine question of saying, why did you name this horse EWING? Because I guess in hospitals there's different wings, and the D wing. He explained it. The D wing or the E wing is the psych ward. So it's very appropriate that we named the horse E-wing, but no, it's Ewing actually after Patrick Ewing.
That is funny. Okay, well, you actually have a few horses with the one word names.
Yep.
Let's talk about Spinelli. This one's trained by Joe Orsino.
Right.
Won the debut at Gulfstream Park by 4. I'm losing my eyesight by the way. 4 3/4 lengths.
Yep.
This is a daughter of Upstart out of Town grad by Speightstown. Champion sprinter, Breeders' Cup Sprint champion.
Yep.
I have the replay here. Edgar Zayas aboard. Let me go ahead and share the screen and make sure I pull up the right one. Yes, Gulfstream Park, June 5th, race 1. So tell us about this.
So Spinelli was always a rocket ship, and there was never a question of did she have the talent. It was really a question of is she only going to be a turf horse or is she only going to be a sprinter? And we tried her on the Tapeta first time out because that was at the time I don't think Gulfstream was running baby races on the turf. And again, when we run a horse that's first time out, that's 4 to 5 or 1 to 5, it's really unusual. But enough people knew about her and knew what kind of speed she had. And she's more Speightstown than she is Upstart. So she's got that early developing speed. And, here she just changes leads and just, continues to pour it on. We initially thought that we were going to run her up in Canada in the My Deer that just ran this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
She got cast in her stall 2 weeks ago down at Gulfstream.
Oh,
and
no.
had a little superficial filling.
Okay.
And we just thought, we don't want to send her all the way up because it's a full day of travel, basically, when you do that from Miami all the way up to Toronto. So we sent her up here to Monmouth Park. And she's been training up here at Monmouth. We didn't feel that she was 100% to be able to, 100% ability. She's sound, but 100% ability to be able to go up to Canada for the My Deer Stake. So instead, we're going to run her next weekend at Monmouth in the Colleen.
Okay.
It's a 5.5 on the turf. And then the goal is to run her 4 weeks afterwards on King's Plate Day. Up in Canada on the Tapeta there, going 6.5. And I think that's probably about as far as she can go.
Well, the family includes millionaire grade 1 sprinter, record setter, Richter Scale. And that's who she runs.
Yeah, exactly. But she's beautiful, and
Yeah.
she's
It looks like she has some room to grow too. Like, I mean, she's sort of gangly, like.
Yep. She definitely will fill in for sure. But our hopes are that she'll continue to have that early speed and still be able to carry it six and a half, maybe 7/8. And the upstarts should. I mean, they should continue to go even longer than that. But I think she's taking more after her maternal side with the Speightstown than the upstart.
And how rewarding is it to you to have gotten her for $60,000, which
Yeah. No question about it. And that's the thing,
I know that sounds like a lot of money for, if you're not a part of buying horses,
a lot of money.
and it is a lot of money. It is. But in terms of the yearling sales and whatnot, that is like you found her for a steal.
Yeah. And again, I give Kim Valerio all the credit because she found her as a weanling.
Oh, really? She was doing the legwork.
Yeah, doing the legwork, and that's not easy to be able to project. And she's not always right. We're not always right. Then sometimes you get.
You can't always all be right like me.
Like you, exactly. Or I was going to say more like Matt, because Matt has better taste. Anyway, we picked you as opposed to you picked Matt.
Exactly.
So, but we have horses on our inventory list where we bought one horse for $5,000 all the way up to America, where we own half of her for $1.2 million. So it's not a matter of, well, we're only going to buy horses within a certain range, and it has to have X amount of pedigree, or we won't even look at it. I mean, we'll look at basically anything that we feel like, will outrun its pedigree. And that's from the most commonly bred horse all the way up to the most royally bred horse. You have to be able to outrun your pedigree, because that's where the value is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was actually pretty cool. Somebody who's great at finding bargains is, of course, Kenny McPeak. And I don't know if you've been following his social media over the past few days, but he's been over in Japan.
He's in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever gone over?
So I haven't been. I can't be away from the horses for that long, for 2 weeks. I can't do it. It's a control thing. They don't know if I'm there or not, but it's just more of a control thing. But it's interesting because he's going over there, but we're not allowed to buy there.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So he's going. I mean, he's going because he's going to see the big filly. That makes a lot of sense. And it's great. And it again, social media, and it makes him, he's an ambassador to racing there. And Kenny's, great. He's a funny individual, and he's got a good personality for it. But it does go to show that, when Monomoy Girl went there, and we sold Jaywalk there, and we sold Wonder Wheel there, and there's a lot of fillies, especially
2 juvenile fillies champions, Jaywalk, Wonder Wheel. Give yourself a little love.
A little credit. Okay, thank you. Yeah. And they were both sold and went there. There's a lot of top fillies, especially over the past 5-10 years, that have gone right from the Fasig-Tipton Night of the Stars sale right over to Japan.
But isn't Monomoy at Spendthrift? Are you thinking Swiss Skydiver?
Well, he went to go see Swiss Skydiver, but I thought there was the Monomoy Girl that just sold for like 3.9 million.
You know what? You might be right. I've been paying sort of periphery attention, but I thought she went to Spendthrift, but I don't. You may.
Our fans know. They'll
pop it up there, guys. This is live right now as of 5:45 on July 15th of 2025.
Yeah, I just want to know. What our numbers look like if we're beating.
We have currently, if I can get one more person, let's see here. We're currently sitting around 800, almost 850 live viewers right now.
What?
Yeah, I know everybody. John's not used to this. John has.
Can I plug the podcast?
The safety net of filming. He records.
Yes,
so that's why he always sounds perfect. He's not perfect, y'all.
Oh no, believe me, definitely not. So much so that I can't find. Maybe I looked at. I did it on Twitter.
Oh, are you looking up?
I'm looking on Twitter to see what I sent my team, because we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
Oh, well, maybe you're thinking. I think you're thinking Midnight Gizu.
Midnight Gizu.
That's what
I'm sorry.
Midnight Gizu. It went for 3.9 million.
Yeah, it was the Colt.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Midnight Gizu, the Equinox Colt that sold for 3.9 million.
Can I tell you? I wish we had pulled a reverse Sunday Silence and somebody had brought Equinox here.
I know. I hear you. That was Sunday Silence was a horse. Sunday Silence Easy Goer was the battle that I remember most growing up.
Yeah.
As far as horses that went against each other, and it was that friendly, unfriendly rivalry between the ownership groups and the horses, and why the Hancocks kind of got a family divorce, and that, I mean there was a lot that went into just those two horses going head to head.
It was crazy to look back at that rivalry and just know what's come since, with Sunday Silence basically siring a dynasty.
Yeah.
And then Easy Goer, I really feel Easy Goer unfortunately died freakishly too young.
Yeah.
I think it was a bee bite. He had an allergic reaction.
Yeah, I think he only had didn't he only have 2 crops?
Yeah, but he had my flag with
Right.
personal ensign and champion right there. And
Yeah.
I just think he could have done really big things at stud as well. And it is remarkable when you look back at what Easy Goer was able to accomplish. And we talk so much when we were talking about sales and whatnot, about confirmation. And he had a grade 3 clubbed foot.
Right. Yep.
And he still put together one of the most impressive resumes you could hope to achieve. I love Sunday Silence too. I couldn't pick a favorite between the two of them.
Right.
But that rivalry, like you said, I mean, when you think of horses throwing it down, it's really hard not to envision that head on of the Preakness.
That was when it was very, forming on me. I was old enough to understand. I was old enough to get an idea of like what the pedigrees meant, what it meant for one of those horses to win. And I wasn't around with Alydar affirmed. So that was like the first one that really made, clicked with me. I also remember going to Monmouth and watching a Haskell with Ali Sheba skip trial.
Oh
no, Ali Sheba wasn't Ali Sheba skip trial and lost code, or am I confusing?
Which race are you talking about?
The Haskell.
Oh, the Haskell. I was thinking I thought you were going Breeders' Cup. Haskell Stakes.
No.
I think that sounds about right. Let me look at what that field was.
When it was that, and just had that kind of a group top to bottom.
Bet twice.
Oh, that's right.
Bet twice.
That's right.
And lost
right.
code, Ali Sheba.
Bet
twice was a cool horse too.
Very cool. Local horse here with the orange silks.
Yeah, the horses that stand out to me when I just close my eyes, I think back, I can still envision Ali Sheba, especially when he got his check blinkers.
Yep.
Lady Secret's the very first horse I can think of in my memory.
Sure, with the gray. Yep.
Yeah. And Daughter Secretariat. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I was a little girl.
That's the whole reason why we ended up buying Do It With Style.
Yes,
was because of Lady Secret. So I'm in the same camp as you as far as loving her as a race filly. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No. And so then, of course, with the Secretariat connection, I also had a soft spot for Risen Star.
Yep.
I can still hear that call. He looks like his daddy out there.
Yep.
And that gave me chills. Like these horses. This is why I get so excited about pedigree. And then bringing it back to Easy Goer. Another reason why I love him. You know what family that is.
Oh, don't tell me it's 1X.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, color me shocked.
So it's another reason why I love Easy Goer.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, we look at these horses, and this is why we get so excited when we get to see sort of rivalries materialize. It's, what do you think? I know this is about the 2-year-olds, but before we get back to them, I'll ask you this because I am wearing the Sandman shirt. Jim Dandy, right? How's he doing?
Sam is doing awesome. Awesome. Like,
all right.
Couldn't be better.
I
wish the race was tomorrow. I wish the Jim Dandy was tomorrow.
Really?
That's how
I saw him. He was looking fresh on the track.
He's doing. Yeah, no, he's the cooler weather up in Saratoga. I know the entire country went through a heat wave.
Yeah.
But it rebounded so much quicker. There you go. Show it. Show off that shirt.
Sandman. Yep. Sandman.
And he's been really fun to campaign and manage. And he's like the people's horse. I've always thought of myself as kind of like under the radar, and people love Sandman. They love him, and it's great. And Griffin Johnson had a lot to do with it. I mean, don't get me wrong.
You mean it's not just because he's gray?
It's because he's gray. It's because he's fast. It's because he's got a very dramatic style to him. He likes to come from off it and make the big run. He's a son of Tappet, but you wouldn't know that mentally. He's really a cool dude to be around. And he won a grade 1, so what's not to, I mean, there's a lot of boxes to check with him. And it was a really easy, again, it was a name that we came up with and a name that we really liked for him. And it's marketable, but because they all sound good when they're winning the Arkansas Derby or finishing third in the Preakness. Nobody complains. If Sandman was a $10,000 claimer, people would be like, "Oh yeah, Sandman's pretty cool." It wouldn't be this like this dramatic insight or
you wouldn't have Metallica stopping by the barn.
I really don't think so. Yeah, that's how about that for a little serendipitous that they were actually in the state. They were in Kentucky when we were running in the Derby. So and arguably one of the most talented bands in my generation, but also one of the most litigious bands in our generation. And they actually embraced the fact that the horse was named Sandman. So that worked out really well.
Oh yeah, right. Well, you could have at that point, but I don't know. It's the Mr. Sandman.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're all dead. They wouldn't come back and try to. Yeah.
No, I think you would be fine with that.
The main thing is if the name gets approved by the Jockey Club, you're pretty free and clear because they're very conservative. And if they're letting the name go through, I didn't say they were always great at what they did. They're very conservative.
Just few names that have gotten through that.
Right. Like it's all about Ren.
No. See, I'd be okay with that one being greenlit.
Exactly.
Greenlit, is that good?
Anyway, can we go back to like some of these?
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about. No, sorry, no. Actually, the viewership's going up. The odder we get. So we talked about Spinelli. We saw the replay. Very nice win there. 4 3/4 length victory. Filly, who finished behind her, came back to win as well. So that's encouraging. Now that race was meant for the turf. It was run on the synthetic there at Gulfstream Park.
Right.
So that was another cool thing about her being able to adjust.
Again, the one of the reasons why we left her in Florida for Joe, because he's got horses up here in New Jersey as well, was that we wanted to try her on the Tapeta. We wanted to train her on the Tapeta. And she's a filly that really prefers a firm going. So whether it's the Tapeta or the turf course like it was at Gulfstream before they closed it down for the summer, or like Del Mar, there's a lot of turf courses that play like painted concrete, more or less. And that's what she really prefers. She likes to have that firm footing underneath her. Nice.
Well, hopefully all things will be smooth going as she continues on in her career for Start 2. Yep. Let's talk about another scion of Upstart that you have, Jupiter. Now this one is out of Magnanimous.
Yep.
Is that mare named after you? And that is a daughter of Carrie Conti, who of course won our Breeders' Cup Mile. Carrie Conti, also the sire She Feels Pretty, who ran too good to lose the other day.
Yeah, I know. But that's why they run the races, because it's not a guarantee. And again, that was another, kind of bargain-esque weanling purchase by Kim Valerio. It was a $50,000 purchase.
That's crazy, Jupiter. Yes.
Yeah. And I think at the time, it's because people weren't excited about Upstart. And that's why we were able to get those 2 horses for the prices that we did. Now, there are so many. Yeah, there's so many Upstarts that are running well that you can't get close to them for 60 or 50,000.
And it's actually cool because not just Jupiter. It's funny, not just Jupiter, but then another horse another 2-year-old that you have that's of stakes caliber as well. Both of them, Abdul, name for not Kareem. I made Paula. Right. But both Abdul and Jupiter both ran in stakes races this past weekend at Woodbine. Both of them out of half sisters, 2 different half sisters, obviously. To Jaywalk, your champion 2-year-old filly and winner of the 2018 juvenile fillies. How cool is that? Yeah,
and there are certain family lines that we gravitate towards. And it's not just like we're buying everything from that family. They still have to check the boxes, but there are certain ones that we know. There's certain families that throw runners. Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is. Almost regardless of who the sire is, they throw runners and they throw sound horses. And once you figure out which families those are, then you really kind of you're dipping into the right pool. I mean, it's really a great thing. But Jupiter, the reason why, so Jupiter I had in 2 different sales. He was in the yearling sale. We were trying to pinhook him, and we decided to scratch him. And then as a 2-year-old, he wasn't showing a lot. So as a 2-year-old, I was like, let's just put him in the sale and just see what we can get. And Cassie was like, you don't want to sell this horse. I'm telling you, this is a horse that like you want to buy. Like, so why are you doing it? So we scratched him out of the sale. But the reason why his name is Jupiter is from the old rhyme, and Ren, you'll appreciate this, that boys are stupider and go to Jupiter, right?
I had not heard that one before.
Okay. Well, I'm sure your beautiful daughter will have heard it if she hasn't heard it yet on the playground. Okay.
Well.
Or would have verbalized it. Anyway, he was a goofball. He was like a big dopey goofball. And whenever all the other horses would get to that next level of training, he would be like, oh, all right, I'm supposed to do. And then because he was so talented, he would like catch up to everybody. And then they would say, okay, now we're gonna, breeze out of the gate. And he'd be like, what's a gate? He wasn't mean. He wasn't nasty. He was just dopey. So that's where we named him Jupiter. Anyway,
I would have never
guessed. So he won first time out, and then
by open lengths, by what, 3? And then I hope it doesn't hurt too much to watch. He runs second here in the Victoria Stakes, but I believe he didn't have a very good start.
He didn't. And again, he should have won the Victoria Street. He should have won that race. But unlike
calling out the stablemate, Casson, who did let's see here.
Yeah, the other horses. So Cassie had
3. Your
horse out of the
3.
5. Yeah, he had 3 out of the 5 horses in this race, which is
pretty good odds of winning.
And the winner's the 6. And basically, we broke okay. He started to make a move, and only one of my horses can get in traffic trouble in a 5-horse field. So you can see right here, he's like, nope, the 2's in front of us. Patrick tries to get to the outs. Patrick Husbands tries to get past the 2 on the outside, and that's when the 4 decides that he wants to go.
Yeah. Oh, look at the
so there you
steady
go.
here.
See,
yeah.
So that's hit the brakes number 2. Meanwhile, the 6 did the right thing and went around everybody and then looped to the front. So now Patrick's got a tough decision to make. Should he stay inside or go outside? And he kind of does both. He goes to the rail, it gets cut off by the 2, and then he's got a clear sailing here down the stretch, and he starts to make a run. But for a baby, you can't start and stop him 3 times like that and expect for him to run. Now, I will say, and this is no disrespect to the winner, because obviously he won, and I'm happy for Mark and I'm happy for the owners. But I genuinely believe that 6.5 furlongs, which is the next race on King's Plate Day. Queen's Plate Day? What do they name it these days? It used to be
King's Plate.
King's Plate Day.
It's the King's Plate now.
Yeah. He's going to be tough. We're going to be tough to beat going 6.5. I think so, because I think that he, unlike the other upstart that we have, Spinelli, Jupiter is destined to be 7, 8, 8.5 furlong kind of horse.
He looks like it.
Yeah. He's got real lanky. He's got real long legs. He's just starting to get to understand, like, again, what's going on in the world. And I think that he's going to be a tough nut to crack mid-August.
All right. So we'll be able to flash back to you laying down the smack talk.
Laying it down. Yeah.
Laying it down. All right. Let's talk about Abdul.
Abdul, your favorite horse.
Yes. Okay. So tap it out of Miss Jessica J, again, another half sister to Jaywalk. And this one, the mom, is by Empire Makers. So the fact I was so impressed by how she came running late. You thought, if you watch this race, you're like, this horse has no chance of hitting the board. And here, I'll just show the replay. It's so impressive because she's bred to run all day.
She is. And Ren, actually, before you show the replay, let me just say one thing, because people think, okay, if you're the manager of a stable, not just me, but if you're the manager of a stable, what do you really do? Because the trainer's the one who's training the horses every day. The jockey's the one that gets all the blame. Okay, he's the rider. The owner's the one who's putting up the money. So really, what is the general manager's job? The general manager's job, number 1 for me, is to try to make sure that my horses that I'm managing are in the best opportunity possible to maximize their abilities. Now, normally what that means is you want to put a horse in a race and be no worse than 6-1 in the race. Okay. That means you have a puncher's chance. Statistically, it means that you should finish first, second, or third over 60% of the time if you're 6-1 or lower. Okay. in this case, it's a Tappet filly from Jaywalk's immediate family and from La Paz, Mission Impossible, Forest Camp. I mean, just she's bred very, very well, which is why
Tappett's
they
Price
took.
is in there.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why they took this, unraced mare, Miss Jessica J, and bred her to Tappet.
Yeah.
So for me, when I noticed who the nominees were for the stake race, and I knew that we were going to have the favorite with Spinelli, we weren't sending Spinelli up to Canada, and that the race basically was going to have 5 winners and probably 4 or 5 maidens in the race. I said, aha, this is an opportunity for me to get black type for
our maiden,
for one of our well-bred maidens. And that's why we put Abdul in there, who's a daughter of Tappet, and also Pina Colada, who is a daughter of Quality Road.
Yes,
Great
Pina Colada's in there as well.
Yep. So that's why they ended up in the race. Now,
obviously, that's another one that can run all. I mean, Quality Road could carry speed. The bottom side of that family. I mean, you've got so. I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah. So the brilliance of what I did was that we got black type in one of them. The stupidity in what I did was you'll see 2 seconds out of the gate, what happens. Yeah. But we had never run before. The other 7 horses in the race had at least run before, if not had won before. And Ren, if you show the clip.
Let's go. Let's
right out of the gate. Now we are.
This Abdul is the My Dear Stakes, you all.
My Dear Stakes. And Abdul is the favorite. Never raced before. It's the favorite in the stake. Now, don't even look at the front because you're going to miss us. The race break, they break, and you'll see in the maroon and white colors, guess where we are? Oh, we're last and second to last.
Yes.
So that's the silliness of sometimes, what I put on paper and whether it comes to fruition or not. So in a 5.5 furlong race, we are 10 and 11 lengths behind already against 7 other horses that have all run before, 5 of which have won before.
And it's Abdul who's last right now.
Yeah, and Abdul's last. And right here, I'm saying to myself, you freaking moron. What are you doing taking $700,000 worth of horse flesh and having them run in a stake first time out when, when you could have put them in the maiden race and they would have been 5-2 and 4-5.
Oh my goodness!
So now watch
this. This is insane to me.
Watch with the white cap in the very back, and that is Abdul, and the filly next to her is Pina Colada in the maroon cap. And now they're halfway down the stretch. We're still 8 lengths behind. Yeah. Watch the freaking moves that these horses put in. Because even Pina Colada gets kind of caught behind horses.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, there we are. And we're second and fourth, and then they show the gallop out. I don't know.
Oh no, sorry, I went to an Arm & Hammer commercial.
But the gallop out, we're like 5 in front by the time they hit the turn again. Yeah. So distance is what's going to be in these.
And that's what her pedigree wants.
Yeah, they both want. That's what they both want.
And the thing with Pina Colada, because it's Quality Road's a horse who could win long, but he could carry his speed. You have Scat Daddy as the damn sire, and obviously we know Scat Daddy can get you any type. He's a sire of Justified, but he's a sire of a lot of. The thing about Scat Daddy, obviously, I should also mention, people, whenever you see his name, you get grade 2 precocity from him. Right. That whole sire line's unbelievable. But yeah, Pina Colada. Mom was graded stakes winner, won the matchmaker, grade 1 place. She was second in the Flower Bowl. Is this a family of grade 1 winners? Pine Island, point of entry, 2005's Distaff champion, Pleasant Home. I mean, it's prolific.
Yeah. And again, first race, we don't have them cranked up.
And it looked like they wanted to kind of run together. Do they work together in the morning?
So not necessarily. I think what happened was Pina Colada really was kind of like, what's going on? I like, this isn't what I expected. And started to make a run once things got clear for her. Yeah. And I think also, again, some of the other horses on the front end got tired. So it looked it was a little bit, I think, I want to underscore under what's the word I'm looking for? I want to not hype the fact. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to hype the fact.
De-emphasize. Thank you, Ren. That's the SAT word I was looking for. De-emphasize, how well they ran. But Cassie's the kind of trainer where if you bet first time out and you miss out on occasionally when one of his horses wins first time out, then that's okay. But don't ever miss the opportunity to bet him second or third time out, because if his horses show any kind of ability whatsoever, the light goes on. Like the first time he runs them, it's for experience. The second or third time, it's for the dough.
Oh, listen to that. That's,
So,
you need to make that.
I need a rhyme. I need a
need a
rhyme.
rhyme.
Like
We
the
need
first
tracks for you.
time, the first time's for show and the third time's for dough. I don't know. But anybody, if you have any suggestions, go ahead and pop it up
We
there.
have, believe it or not, people are always so shy when they watch the show, I feel like, because
Right.
I will always have great guests. And I tell the viewers, hey, if you have a question, comment, feel free to pop it up. I'll throw it to my guest.
Yeah.
We have over 1,000 people watching live right now.
Right.
Okay. Live. This is a horse racing show. I know this doesn't compare to some mainstream web content that you can watch, but as far as a horse racing show, this is pretty good. Over 1,000 live. And
Pretty good.
They sit there silently.
Yeah.
They sit there silently. And I just take that as I'm doing such a good job that any question they can think of, I've already asked it.
Sure, you can
You've already
say
brought
that.
it
I
up.
wouldn't say that. I would
You
say
wouldn't
that
say
you're
that, though.
monopolizing the microphone, but that's just me, you know.
That's fair. Fair. Let's talk about, you have so many. So we talked about those two. What is next for those?
So they're both going to run in maiden races next time out.
Okay.
Abdul, you know, now that she's black type, I can really go back to square one with her and try to get her to go long on the turf. And Pina Colada is probably going to be in a similar situation to Abdul. I want to be able to split them up. Usually by the time mid-August comes around, especially at Woodbine, they start to split those races anyway, naturally.
Mhm.
So they probably won't run against each other, although they may run in the same condition. The thing is that Mark's got, 32-year-olds up there. So you're going to run against a couple of Cassie horses, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to
There are
do.
worse things.
By the way, does Paula Abdul know there's a horse named after her?
No, Paula Abdul does not know there's a horse named after her because, again, we run the risk of being sued. And I
think she'd love that.
You think so?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I think she would love to know that there is a pretty filly named after her.
Named after her. Well,
Do you want to tell the audience the clever reasoning behind this name?
So my dad asked me. He said, "Who is the best tap dancer in history?" Because of Tap It, and we looked through the list together, and Abdul was available, and there aren't that many, if you think about it, there aren't that many tap dancers anymore.
Yeah.
So she at least was a little bit modern, and he gravitated to it, which was really good. But the naming part of the industry of what I do is like the most fun for me. I love naming horses. It's like, even when I look at other horses in races, I'm like, I could have thought of a better name, or that's the best name I could have been thought of. I can't believe I didn't think of it. So, one of the tells of the DJ Stable group is if it's a one-word name, it's usually the horse can usually run. If it's a long 17, 18 letter space name, just watch it. Don't necessarily put your mortgage money on it.
Okay. Well, what do you do with a horse that I do have to ask this. I think you have a horse. I don't want to say the name incorrectly. I think the name is, let me make sure I've got it right. Bring bail money. What is the story behind that?
So Lauren Carlisle, who also shortlists horses for us.
Yes.
And Lauren really liked that horse and the rock your world. And I said to her, well, you can name this horse if you want, since you picked it out and you love it so much. And you're the only one that loved it so much. And again, a modestly bred horse. I mean, a modestly priced horse, $60,000. And she said, oh, there's this country song she's a country music fan. There's this country song that I listen to that talks about bring bail money. Can I name it Bring Bail Money? So that's why.
Okay. I thought there was maybe a story.
And she did that the year before. She picked one out called Make It to Cheyenne, which apparently is a very famous George Strait song.
Yes.
And
not that I'm an expert.
No, and he's been a great sprinter for us. He's a 3-year-old now.
Yeah, that's nice.
So we like to give back a little bit and let people have the opportunity, because they work hard, and give them the opportunity to kind of have some ownership in essence by naming some of these horses. But some of it's fun. Some of it's, is just, I go through, like, Christmas for me is the last week of December when the Jockey Club releases 20,000 names every year.
Yeah.
That to me is like I stay up all night long and look to see for cool names that have been released. And then I try to reserve a dozen of them or so. And then we kind of work backwards and say, okay, who would be a good Jupiter? Who would be a good Vanity? Who would be a good Nitrogen? So some horses, actually Nitrogen has a different story, but horses like that, Jaywalk, horses like that, where I kind of reserve the name first, and then based on the way horses act or their pedigrees, we'll kind of retrofit them into names sometimes.
I'm just glad there wasn't a personal story tied into Bring Bail Money.
Oh, there is. It's just not. It's for the Ren Carruthers After Dark show. That's when we'll
that's a behind the paid subscription.
Exactly.
Steph, John, what freshman sire for yearlings are you excited to see at the sale?
Oh, at the sale. Wow, Steph, that's a great question. I was looking forward to seeing some of the Olympiads. I was looking. I'm looking forward to seeing. Let me think. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Look to see
you can cheat.
Who
it's not on the track
in the first couple of years. The Golden Pals. I don't know if is he freshman this year or is he freshman last year?
No, these are his. These babies are the. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me have to know.
The first ones.
You put me on the.
Yeah, those
the
Mandaloon. Mandaloon. I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking for. I think that people have forgotten about what a great racehorse he was, and they just only remember that he got, DQ'd up to be the winner of the Derby, and they don't remember just how, precocious he was and just what kind of turn of foot he had. So I'm looking forward to horses like that. I'm old school, Steph, and the rest of the audience. I still like to have the proven horses. Give me the Tappets and the Curlins and the Not This Times and the and the Candy Rides and the Medallias and the Justified. Give me those all day long. I love being able to buy those, and to me they're kind of, I don't want to say they're idiot proof, but they're proven. Yeah. So that if you buy a Justify, you have twice the average compared to all of the stallions that are out there of having a stake winner or a graded stake winner. So why wouldn't you do that? And then of course we're the same. You say, well, Green, you bought a Knicks Go for $600,000. Why would you do that as opposed to buying a Justify and a Curlin? You're right, but I think that more times than not, I'm personally going to lean to a proven commodity than a speculative commodity, and that just goes back to my days of managing money professionally for people. I loved buying GE when it was undervalued. I loved buying Procter and Gamble when it was undervalued and went down because the entire market went down. Other people may have been sexier to have like one stock that was up 200%, but the reality of it is it's what's the
the long game,
the whole mass going to do, and that's the way I look at these horses. Is we're looking at them as we buy enough under the criteria that we've set forth. And I don't really care if Abdul turns out to be our best one. I don't really care if
she'll forever be your girl.
She'll ever be my girl. That's what you did there. Or French Friction or Manaloa, it doesn't matter. As long as one of them is in the starting gate for the Breeders' Cup, for the Friday, Freshman Friday. That Future Stars Friday. That's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. So, I don't play favorites as far as that goes.
Well, as far as Golden Pal goes, he has 9 first crop yearlings that will be in the Saratoga Select sale.
Right. That's saying something. For a $25,000 stallion to have 9 of the 300, that's a big percentage.
And I loved him.
Yes.
I loved him when he was running. I'm friends with the Lows, and I got to be part of that whole
Lady Midshipman was.
Oh, I know.
But now you have to ask yourself, okay, now take the emotion out of it. Because
Oh,
you're
okay, I'll
an
try.
emotional
But
person.
I'm yes.
You know all
I
the
get
people.
sentimental.
Okay. Was he sound enough?
I think yes,
Okay.
because the longevity of the career. How many horses can he's another one of these horses. I know you had to manage, but how many of these horses can be as good as he was at 2 and then do what he got
Right.
the turf sprint as well. So as a juvenile,
Yeah.
then older.
But he only ran 6 times, right?
A lot of horses. I mean,
I know a lot of. I'm just saying, like that would be a concern of mine.
but sometimes though you also have to look at the family as a whole over time too. What did they all do? Because sometimes a horse's career and how they have to be managed has a number of different variables as to why something,
Sure.
you know, occurs. But I'm very excited about his babies. I think he's one of these horses where, when they talk about, just like with people, some horses just have an it factor.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, I mean, it's basically all, I can't, not a lot of chrome anyway, if there's any.
Right.
He still had presence. You'd see him walk
Yeah.
in and just, you knew that this is a grade 1 animal.
Yeah. People say he's the Jon Green of stallions.
That is what they say. They're like,
That's what they say.
oh my gosh, they
Not a lot of longevity, but
they should have named him. They should have named him Jay Green. I don't know. I can't
Green
come up
Pal instead of Golden Pal.
Green Pal.
Green Pal.
Do you ever get people calling the Green Group thinking you're like an environmental?
It's fun. Yeah, we used to get that, and my home phone number was like 1 digit away from the local Home Depot. So we used to get calls all the time. And Jonathan Green, for those of you who don't know, Jonathan Green is also the name of a very well-established seed company that sells at Walgreens and Lowe's and Home Depot. So people would be like, "Oh, Jonathan Green." They look up in the white pages and they'd be like, "Oh, Jonathan Green." It must and Home Depot, and they would call and leave messages on my voicemail on my old machine. That's how long ago it was, and they would leave orders, and they'd be like, "I never got my order for my 3 bags of seed from," and they would argue with me. I'd be like, "No, this is a home residence." "Yeah, but it's Jonathan Green's home residence." "Yes, it is." "Well, I want to order 3 more bags of seed." No, it's not the same. Like they would. So finally, to the point where after like I had this one person before Karen was a negative, this was a Karen, and she was insisting that I must have been wrong. And that no, so I took her credit card information and told her that she should go to her local Home Depot and there would be her 3 bags of seed waiting for her.
John.
I know. I have a long fuse until
you don't. Oh, you know what? I do want to clarify because I don't know if maybe you said something else and I thought you were still talking about Golden Pal because I was like, wait a second, Golden Pal did not run just 6 times. He ran like 13 times.
Okay.
You were talking about Flightline running 6 times.
Yeah.
I think he was. I think they had to manage him a certain way, especially,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it gets to the point, and I saw it with Sandman. I got where you start to get inquiries from these farms, and
not to cut you off, but one of the crazy things that you said, I think it was during one of your other shows.
Crazy things. Okay.
Some other show you said that you do.
Yeah.
Rail Talk.
You mean Rail Talk? You mean the Rail Talk?
I love Rail Talk. I love Rail Talk. I tune in. So you said something along the lines of, it's harder to get a horse a stud deal if they've won the Belmont Stakes, which I think is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's insane.
That's true.
And you said even with it being run at the mile quarter Kentucky Derby distance.
Yep. It's got a negative stigma.
That's crazy.
In the breeding industry now. Negative stigma.
It's
crazy. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But again, as an industry, we're moving more towards speed and precociousness.
But see, I think you can have it all. I miss having the marathon as an official race, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, the Jockey Club Gold Cup used to be like 2 miles, and
and there were preps for it and everything. It wasn't like it was just a kind of a one-off anomaly.
No. I look at that all, and it is difficult, but historically though too, we always try to say, oh, well, back in the day, horses ran X amount of times. We do have some really important sires who only race like a few times and they ended up being breed shapers, and their progeny could run,
Right.
you know, with no worries, total durability. So it
Yeah.
wasn't something that they were necessarily passing on. Some horses are just too fast for their own
good.
They're
Yeah.
bringing out their skin.
Yeah, exactly. It's just physics. They can't take the and then you started off the show, just to give you a full circle, with Knicks Go, who ran, you know, I mean, you know, a number of times, dozens of times in comparison to the other stallions, and yet 25 times, and yet over a long period of time, and yet
over 9 million in earnings.
couldn't get a stud deal for a little while. It's crazy.
10 of those victories. Golden Pal, 13 starts, 8 wins, 2 seconds.
Right.
1.8 million in earnings. And then, like you said, with Flightline 6, but I mean, this is also a horse. I am like, that scar on his butt is from an injury, like with that freakish stall injury he had. And so it's crazy that not only did he overcome that and heal, but like he put up some of the most jaw-dropping performances we'd seen in years.
Right. Yeah.
So
I would agree with
that Breeders' Cup Classic in particular, when he sidled up alongside a really good racehorse in Life is Good, who that is a stallion, by the way.
Life is Good.
Very excited about.
There you go. Okay, Steph, that was one actually that I am really excited to see the progeny.
I was doing full Fridays at WinStar last year with some of his progeny, and every one I saw was he stamps
them. Yep.
Beautiful. And I will say every Flightline I've seen also.
Yeah.
Beautiful athletic horses. So he gets up alongside Life is Good, and you think, oh, okay, now these two are going to throw it down, and he blew right by him. And when he ran, he was loaded for bear. Golden Green. You need to add that to the
that's your list, Steph. Exactly.
GG.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get on point here, because I'm sorry, like, we're not going to break our record tonight.
No,
we can't break the record.
No, because I have to pee, so we can't break the record.
Already you have to pee?
For an hour and a half. I'm an old man.
I'm so disappointed in you. Usually it's not until hour 2 where you're like, oh my gosh, the jiggles, I can't. Let's talk about Orbit.
Okay.
This one is a homebred, which, I mean, like Nitrogen, that's probably, I think, maybe one of the, I would think, I'm going to speak, listen, I'm going to speak for you now.
Sure, go ahead.
I would think one of the most satisfying aspects of Nitrogen being in your stable is that she is a homebred.
No question. And Nitrogen, that
I'm Deadly Duro.
That's a situation where, I talked about naming horses and how much fun that is. The genetic analysis is also something I get really excited about. And we bought Tiffany Case, who's an Uncle Mo, and said, okay, what are we going to do to try to make this family work? And believe it or not, they needed some explosive speed, and the Violences of the world and the El Prados, and they seem to work well with the family for a lot of reasons that I understand and don't understand, but it's proven to the family. So we bred her to Medallia, and when they brought Nitrogen out as a young foal, Jeff Hazlett, who was there, who is now director of sales at TaylorMade, but he's been our contact person for 20 plus years and is a dear, dear friend of mine. Jeff said, John, this filly just breathes different air. And I'd never heard that before. And I thought that was a really cool way of describing like just how nice of a horse that was. Mm-hmm. So I immediately went home and went, what elements on the periodic table are lighter than air? And Nitrogen was one of them, and it was the only one that was available. And I was shocked that it was available. So this filly had the name Nitrogen from before the time that she was even registered. Oh, like that, wow. We were calling her Nitro from that moment on, because that's how much we thought of her. And again, Mark Casse went out to look at all the yearlings the following year. We had just won the Breeders' Cup and the Eclipse with Wonder Wheel. And my dad said to Mark, we have 30 yearlings here. If there are any here that you don't want us to sell, because our MO is to put them all on sales. And if there's one that you feel is a superstar or that you want to pull back, you get your Wonder Wheel, get it at jail free card. Oh. And Mark looked at the majority of them and he kept going, who was that? The Medallia? Was that Medallia filly? And kept going back to that. and compared like the other group that we had, and basically kept saying, yeah, but she's not, that one's good, but not as good as, that one's good, but not as good as. And he was right. And Jeff was right. And, all the way through, the time that she was, from the time she was born until the time she was weaned and went to Florida to break and train. And she's always been like the queen. And she's got a personality that she's got like that 1,000-yard stare, Ren, if you've ever heard that before.
Oh, yeah. Well, they look at eagles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where like you can see the wheels turning. Like there's stuff going on up there that they have an understanding of what the what's going on around them. And she always gets put into the stall that is on the end, so that way she can have full view of every horse that comes around, but also of like what's going on outside the barn. And when we were at Churchill for the Derby, and Nitrogen was running on the undercard, okay, in a grade 2 the day before, Nitro was actually in stall number 1, not the gray horse, not Sandman, not Dreamall, not Lacara. I mean, Mark was loaded for that week. Graded stake winner after graded stake winner after graded stake winner was up and down that shed row. And it was Nitrogen who was in stall 1.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. So she's always had that temperament and always had that like insatiable interest in things. But if you scratch her in the right spot on her neck, she'll like lay down on her back like a puppy dog practically.
Oh.
She's just got a great temperament. And she doesn't, my mom used to always say, don't suffer fools, which basically was like, don't fall into their game. And she's that kind of filly where there can be, all kinds of things going on in the barn and she could care less. She just is like, this is cool. I got my thing. I know what's going on. This isn't going to bother me. This isn't going to hurt me. Let them, let them, be fools. I'm not going to suffer fools. And that's always been her MO. So it's been really fun. Like when everything comes together and you get a horse like that, it doesn't happen that often. It rarely happens, as a matter of fact. But she's been able to stay sound and do all the things that we want her to do. And even some of the things like making a decision to run her on the dirt, and winning a race by 20 lengths and, running a career best sheet number and buyer number on the dirt, even though she's been, she won 5 stakes in a row on the turf. Like, it's just fun to have a horse of that caliber where you start to think about most of the time when you buy a horse, you think, okay, I would really love it if this horse ran in a graded stake race, or it'd be really cool if maybe please the horse would be good enough to be on the Derby or the Oaks Trail. Mm-hmm. But when you start looking at this horse, I'm talking about Nitrogen, when you start waxing poetically about her, when you start looking at her resume and you say, you know what, if she wins the Alabama, which is, going to be a tough grade 1 in the middle.
That's what that is the plan.
She's going to go to the Alabama on the dirt. She wins the Alabama. She might be 3-year-old champ, 3-year-old filly champ. And if she does something else during her 3-year-old year on top of that, maybe she's like a Hall of Famer.
Oh,
like, dare you say it? But that's what we think. And then the icing on the cake would be, does she end up in Steph's name? Then yes, I know.
That's the big question. No, that's the thing. Like, I laughed. I laughed that sometimes you won't even mention race names because superstition.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to. You knock wood. Yeah, you don't want to do it.
Silly. But I do have to ask. I'm not going to hold you to this. But let's say she does all this or even if she doesn't, even with this resume, she's already amassed, which is super impressive.
Yeah.
Is this the type of horse that you're so attached to because she's been there from the start that even though you could potentially sell her for big numbers at the November breeding stock sale, that you're like, okay, this one we keep for the broodmare band, or no?
Yeah, no, Ren, she is absolutely positively going to be in our broodmare band until the day she is no longer breathing air. I mean, she will be with us for as long as she is able.
I saw how hard it was when Wonder Wheel, when the hammer dropped for her. It was very bittersweet for you. I could see on your face. It was very
bittersweet. But again, like Wonder Wheel took us on a phenomenal ride.
Yeah.
And Wonder Wheel was a phenomenal filly. And we treat this as a business.
Yeah.
And we look at it as we need to have certain cash flow. We need to, well, thankfully, because Nitrogen's winning so much and Sandman's winning so much, and we've sold some other horses, over the past year or so, is that, like, she's the kind of filly that I couldn't afford to buy. I couldn't afford to keep her. And why would you ever want to sell a Medallia filly?
No, right? Oh my goodness. I don't know if we have to remind anybody else of another famous Medaglia d'Oro filly, but we could.
We could. There's so many good ones.
I know there's so many, but
Rachel Alexander.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a colt by Medaglia. Orbit.
Okay. Orbit, another homebred.
This one again, homebred. Earth Strike by Zoffany. Now, this horse, I have the replay here, even though he finishes third, beating 4 1/4 lengths, just because I want to show. He was right there in the early goings. This was that race that was meant for the turf, came off, run at 7 furlongs there at Saratoga, won. It's such a great story, though, too, just because I had, I had Cherie on the show last week, and again, she showed us Dr. Agnew, and it's just so cool that he won first out with, if anybody missed the show last week, Dr. Agnew's named for one of the vets who helped save Lady Eli's life. And he tragically passed away, and his widow was actually there on hand to watch the debut of this colt. So it was very emotional. Now, your horse, I thought, ran very gamely, especially considering he is bred turf. It's a turf
thrown through. And again, we wanted to run him in this race for experience, because we wanted to make sure that he understood what was going on, because we have bigger and better plans for him. But he is a Medallia colt that showed speed, which is a little surprising. His mother, Earth Strike, we bought privately from Coolmore in Europe, brought her here, campaigned her, got her black type. But there's not even, like, the pedigree is so commercial and so strong. There's not even a second dam on the page. That's how deep it is. Earth Strike herself is a half to 5 graded
Order St. George.
Order St. George was a 2-time handicap champion there. long turf, later developing turf. Like,
multi-millionaire.
That's the family. And yet here Orbit's like, I got this. This is cool. Even though on the turf.
He was running great. Now, for those of you who don't know, so Dr. Agnew is hanging there in 5th back there with the pink cap.
Yep.
That's where he came from.
Yep. And made a big run and look, if we were going to lose a race, how can't you root for that horse?
Oh yeah. And you're friends with Jose also.
Yep. So it was really cool. I was very happy that they won the race. What I was surprised about, and this is again just my getting on a high horse, no pun intended. But the horse won. This horse won. Okay, won by a length in 1:20, a minute 26 for 7/8. Not fast on a turf race, or a dirt race that was supposed to be meant for the turf.
Yes,
started, and ran like a 45 buyer number. Guess what? It ended up being a TDN Rising Star. Now that's bullshit. That's crap as far as I'm concerned.
But I'll say why. I'll give the counter to that.
I understand why, because the context of the story was great.
I don't even. I mean, the story is great. The story is
great, and I have nothing. And I'm happy for the horse. I'm happy for the people. I'm happy for Cherie. I could, again, if we were going to lose the race, that's who I wanted to lose it to. Honestly. But you can't say that a horse is a superstar and gets a rising star when there was a horse that ran and won at Parks 2 days later that had a 55 buyer. Then why wouldn't that horse have been a rising star? Because it wasn't an Into Mischief out of this great family. That's why. Anyway,
I would say the counter to that is, figures aside. Just as you pointed out, this race was meant for the turf. So to come back 7 furlong race on the dirt like that and still win gutty at first asking, when we, also coming from a barn that doesn't necessarily feel like the need that we got to win first out. Yeah. I think you project a rising star, because now when he does get on the turf, which is what he wants.
Right.
That's what I would say. To counter
I
it.
think it's very hypocritical, Ren. I think it's
That's
extremely
because you're
extremely biased. I think if the horse wasn't into mischief and wasn't
okay.
from this family, and that it would not have been it would have been a great race. It would have been a wonderful story. And again, don't get me wrong, I am super happy. I'm super happy for the industry. Super happy for the industry that a horse like that won, and hopefully that horse will be in the Breeders' Cup.
Numbers just jumped up. People know you're talking crap. You got like 1,200 viewers now. People are like, what's Jon Green saying?
All I'm saying is that if you're going to give an award for a first-time starter or for a rising star, that there should be some criteria, stated criteria for that.
I'm happy with the designation.
Which we actually are now doing ourselves.
You're doing
Rail Talk.
You do that. You have the performance of the week.
We're doing no. This is different. We're doing something called a Rail Talk citation as an homage to citation.
As an homage to citation. Okay.
Citation. But we actually have stated criteria.
Oh my.
Statistical numerical criteria as to whether or not a horse would be eligible for the citation or not. Not, oh, I'm buddies with so-and-so, so I want that horse to get an award. Or, oh, it's a son or a daughter of the top, horse priced stallion. So I think that they deserve to have one. We're not political like that. It's basically if we think that a horse is going to be a graded stake winner in the future, then it matures and graduates properly based on these statistical numbers, with buyer numbers or sheet numbers or whatever. There's all the criteria is stated and written and posted, not, oh, I'm buddies with so-and-so and I want them, and it's going to be better for them to have a marketing, for marketing purposes, to have another rising star. I think that's BS.
John, this is
just saying.
This is my happy-go-lucky Breeders' Cup show. What are you doing?
I know. I'm not saying that the horse doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying that what's the criteria that shows not your criteria, because you're not giving away this isn't a
you don't want to knock your own horse though either. Your own horse got to be 4 1/4 lengths. So
right. But I'm not saying that my horse should
but we know you guys when you're on turf, these numbers
right.
are going to jump.
Yeah, but then earn it. I don't think a horse that had a.
I think it's all, but I also think it's a means by which to get people's eyeballs on these horses, because now you do know the next time that they do get on the surface.
There was enough eyeballs. So many people knew the story. Don't give me that BS. So many people knew the story about the horse. And again, please understand, I am not saying anything negatively about the horse itself. I think the horse itself is going to be a fun horse to watch.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, I think the horse itself is going to be really fun, and I want the horse to be a Grade 1 winner. I really genuinely do. I do. I know
we'll flash back to you saying this then too.
What's that?
When he wins his Grade 1, we'll flash back to you saying.
I think it's a great story, and that only helps the industry when great stories get promoted like this. But don't tell me that it was a superstar in comparison to other horses that ran equal, if not better, numbers than during the week at other racetracks. There were horses that ran 80 buyers at other racetracks that didn't get their designation. Why? They were dirt horses running on dirt, and then not necessarily. What about if I told you that there was a horse that ran at Woodbine that had an 81 buyer that wasn't recognized? Anyway, I'm going off target. This was not the conversation I thought I was going to have with you today about. And
I'm issuing the disclaimer. While friends with Jon Green, I do not agree with all things Jon Green says.
That's all right. A lot of people don't. That's totally cool. But anyway,
this has been the gangrene section of this.
Yeah, of my exactly. Be in my bonnet.
The bee in your bonnet.
But it was enough. It annoyed us enough over the years that we actually put together our own criteria, and that's why we have the Rail Talk citation.
Well, we'll see how your criteria. You guys keep your list, and then you can put it up against.
We will. We'll compare.
At the end of the year, you contrast and compare.
We'll compare. We'll contrast and compare. What was really cool though is that when Ewing won, and he did earn, a rising star, and he also earned the very inaugural, Rail Talk citation.
Can you give a citation to yourself?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Because I think the eyeball test showed that the horse or my butt or I want to butter up West Point that owns half the horse, so I'm going to make it blah blah blah. No, but let me finish. So Ewing got the citation, And TaylorMade, to their credit, actually put it in their ad that the horse earned a Rail Talk citation because there was stated criteria as to how the horse got it.
Can people get Rail Talk citations? Like if I do something
Nope.
awesome, no,
not unless you can run an 80 buyer.
I don't know.
If you go on the track and you run an 80 buyer in the dirt, then I'll consider you for the, especially, overcoming your humble beginnings.
I don't know. Did you see Larry Colmus running on the track at Del Mar?
I did when they were trying to get, I love stuff like that. The jockeys, the corgis, the camels, anyway,
gosh. Let them all run.
But if there was a camel that was owned by Coolmore, it would get a rising star.
Oh my goodness. I stay out of all of this, y'all. I'm happy. I'm just here to promote good things and good feelings.
You said you.
Although there are some people who don't like that, that I don't get cynical.
Yeah.
The only thing I really just feel like I can have a strong opinion about is the crop insanity. I think it's so stupid. Anyway, everybody's already heard me complain about that enough. Let's talk about America the Great.
How do you pivot? I
know. Let's talk.
Are there any questions, Ren? Are there any questions out there?
I think people are just so shocked. They're waiting to hear what you say next, and they don't want to interrupt you while you're on your roll. America the Great, who is read by Bobby Flay. You guys had on Rail Talk not too long ago. This one is a full sister to First Captain and the mom Grade 2 winner, multiple Grade 1 place. This family is prolific, y'all. This family of Blush with Pride includes Chimes of Freedom, Peeping Fawn, The Way You Are, Danon, and multiple Belmont Stakes winners. If you would like to go over that. But when I do say that, multiple Belmont Stakes winners are in this pedigree, including like Jazz. She's only sprinted, and that's why I don't think she's broken her maiden yet.
Right, and there really weren't any distance races to
I have a picture of her.
Yeah, I mean she is the epitome of gorgeous. I mean, just
I think Archangelo is also part of this family. I think he's also
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
And it's probably a 1X according.
No. I think it's 8. It's an 8F or 8. I think it's 8F. Yeah. I'd have to double check. Let me see here. You can't expect me to remember everything off the top of my head. Let's see. Where is this? Here she is. Now, this was like a situation where you got her after the fact.
Yeah. So she was an RNA. So we were there for book 1. And we usually don't buy out of book 1. It's just too expensive. Yes. And Mark.
Even for big rollers like you.
I don't know how big rollers we are, but anyway, after this, I'm going to be loading up for legal fees, I'm sure. So we really liked her. We really, really liked her. And, but she was an RNA for 1.2 million. And we went to breakfast the next morning with Mark
Bobby Flay.
No, I wish. And he was making eggs Benedict for us. Anyway.
Yes.
And again, just like with nitrogen the previous year, Mark kept going, yeah, there's some horses on this list that I really like for this afternoon, but that Curlin filly, that's what you want. I mean, you want the way she looks. I mean, the pedigree is the pedigree, but that's like, take a snapshot of her and use her as your template for what a good 2-turn filly should look like. So I kept saying, yeah, but I'm not spending $1 million on a horse. They're just crazy. Like $1 million on a house is crazy, let alone $1 million on a horse. And Mark said, well, what if it was half that? And I said, we can't buy her for $600,000. He said, no, idiot. I mean, like, what if we got you a partner? And we said, I was with my dad, and we said, there's only 2 or 3 people that we would do this with, that we would want to partner with on a at this level. And Mark said, well, let me just call Gary Barber, who we've been partners with on a couple of the horses before, and let me see if he's interested. And he called Gary right there. And it was like 5 a.m. in California where Gary lives. And picked the phone and said, is everything okay, Mark? And Mark said, yeah. He said, I got a crazy idea. And Gary started laughing, and he goes, whatever it is, I'm in. And Mark's like, wait, let me tell you what it is. It's to buy this horse, for 7 figures with the greens. And he goes, I know exactly what you're asking me. Let's do it. So we went back and we offered a million, which again is like hard to say.
Yeah.
And Bobby said, no, at 1.2, I'll kind of race her myself. And kudos to him because he's got the family.
Yes.
And we ended up working out a deal and bought her. And,
Very nice.
kind of the rest is history. But she needs to go 8.5 furlongs.
She's crying for it. She's crying out for it. It's impressive that on debut, that was at Churchill, and early too, in May.
Early.
It's so impressive that she rallied from double digits back in last to get up for second on debut. And then, in the debutante, I mean, that's another 6 furlong race there at Churchill. She was fourth, being 7 1/4. She just wants 2 turns. She wants it desperately. And I mean, also, you just, going back to the pedigree, when you have multiple Belmont winners in your pedigree.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see, and she bears this out in the flesh too, everybody. You can tell, even though she's staying at angles, she is a 2-turn horse.
2-turn horse. And again, we talked before about the horses will tell you what you need to hear. You just have to be willing to listen. She actually did herself a disservice by running so well in May that we were like,
guys, a hope, right?
Oh man, if we get black type on her early, then the rest is, then we're playing with house money at that point.
Yeah.
But again, we thought enough of her where after the debutante, and the reason why we left her in Kentucky after her first start was to run her in the debutante. Otherwise, she would have gone right to Saratoga from that race in May. She's at Saratoga now, and the next time you see her in the entries will be in Saratoga in a maiden race, going 2 turns.
Nice. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, and I was right. 8F. How gross is that I know that? Like I shouldn't know that. I knew that.
You shouldn't know that stuff, friend.
I was like, sometimes I think I doubt myself just because I think it's creepy if I know off the top of my head. I'm like, no, I can't possibly know that off the top of my head. I better check.
That's another therapy session as to whether or not you're creepy. So we can talk about that again when we have another hour and a half.
Well, we can say that you don't have to be like an obsessive female family pedigree geek like me, but still appreciate pedigree. The Curlin over AP Indy, Nick, you gotta love that with her also. It's a thing of beauty.
Absolutely. And again, that's what you look for. That's what you look for in a horse, pedigree and angles and how deep the family goes. I mean, it's one thing to say it's a full to greatest stake winner.
First captain,
But there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those that go out there that don't look the part.
What's also funny is just that I think I sent it to you a couple of years ago. I made a meme out of I took that meme that's out there of that little girl, she's asking Santa Claus for something, and I changed the dialogue to, all I want for Christmas is a foal out of an ape, by Curlin out of an AP Indy mare or by one of his sons.
Right.
I later saw this meme that I made end up somewhere in the horse racing internet. Like,
oh my God, really?
You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh my gosh, my meme made it.
There you go. They love me. They really love me.
It beyond. Yep. Speaking of that, this is y'all. I almost used this as my intro or the advertisement or whatever promo for Jon being on the show today. I saw this. I had some cartoon or something on for Ava one day, and I saw this thing come on the screen, and I said, "Oh my gosh, it's Jon Green!" And so I took a picture of it, and this picture's been saved in my phone as Jon Green. So whenever we communicate, that's what comes up.
It's uncanny especially because the mouth is open talking. So that's why, obviously, it definitely is me.
You need to get a purple shirt.
Oh my God!
Or and wear it open with a white beater or whatever that is.
Exactly.
No, I'm sorry, it's tank top.
Tank top. Yeah, we can't say that anymore.
No, exactly. Sorry, I'm from the '90s.
I know, exactly.
The skater kids. That's what we. It's not good though. It's not good. Let's talk about Mauna Loa. Speaking about another horse who does well with AP&E. This one's a different cross, but still, daughter Nyquist. Out of Pacific Heat by Unusual Heat. That is one of those horses I think has been so underrated. Unusual Heat was a great stallion.
Yeah. There just aren't a lot of them.
Out of California.
There's not a lot of them.
No.
And he was so regional.
Yeah. And great as a sire, broodmare sire. You can pass on that quality for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, a homebred of ours that got hurt as a yearling and made us give it time. A Mayfall. A filly that I think you're going to see in the entry box probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But a filly that we think has a lot of talent. Whether or not she'll win first time out, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to do.
Mhm.
But I can tell you that she's got a lot of talent, and we have some really high expectations for her as well.
This one's co-bred with Betts Thoroughbreds and Brian Graves of Gainesway, who's so nice.
Yep.
And yeah, she's working at Churchill.
Yep. Working at Churchill, and you'll see her at Ellis.
We have a question. Thoughts on 2-year-old Stradale?
I don't know who that is.
Joey Joe. I don't know.
I don't know who Stradale is.
Stradale. I'll equibase it. I'll equibase it for you in just a minute while I cue John up for this next 2-year-old. Queen Juno. See, you had is there an Alaska connection here with Yopon?
No, Queen Juno was one that we bought that
What is Yopon?
when she came out of the her stall in the barn when we were looking at her.
Oh, okay.
We went, oh my God, she's the queen. She's this big, beautiful 2-turn looking kind of horse. And Joe Bianca, my partner in crime on our podcast, has a puppy named Juno. So
that's right. Yopon is a type of berry, apparently.
Is it what?
It's Yopon, the sire, by Uncle Mo. And this is a first crop representative, right?
Yep. Exactly. And he's already had a couple winners.
Yeah. He's off and running. But Yopon is commonly known as the Yopon holly. It's a species of holly native to southeastern North America.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that. Did you know that?
No.
I had no idea either. But son of Uncle Mo and then this filly is out of De Here We Go by De Here.
Right.
And Yopon himself, he won the Forego, y'all. So grade 1 winner. Yeah, this filly is a half sister to stakes place runners O Serafina and Which Ways, and the family includes millionaire and multiple track record setter Limousine Liberal.
Yeah, and we actually had Which Ways for a quick window, and Mark Cassie trained her, and then we bought Which Ways last year out of the sale in fall to Goodnight.
Goodnight. I like him.
And now she's in fall to Cogburn.
Nice. Okay. You can,
So trying to keep speed in there.
Now, she went out there. I mean, the track was sloppy at Ellis when she debuted on July 12th. Yeah. 5.5 furlongs.
Yep.
She was right there early up.
Supposed to be turf. So Ren, I never, ever do this. I'm not a big tweeter.
Oh.
Not big on X. I think it's the devil's playground. And I
try
to possible. So we were at career win 2,599. That's how long we've been around. 2,599 wins. And I, of course, went on there and was very braggadocious and was like, hey, we have these following 13 races coming up this weekend. Come on and follow us and see which one's going to be our 2,600th win.
Yeah.
And then rattled off 7 second place finishes.
I think I can pull that
off. Spoiler alert, I am still on. I'm still on.
I wonder if I can pull this off. I'm sorry if I'm out of frame, y'all, but I'm going to see if I can pull this up because it is pretty funny because he actually gave it was a 2-part post because he gave the series.
So we had 7 seconds and 2/3 out of 14 starts, which is great for your ROI, but terrible for your win percentage.
Oh my gosh.
And Cassie now is sitting at 3,999 wins.
No, you know what? I don't know if I can find you because no offense, but your name is like Jon.
I know.
Green.
Yeah. It's like look up the seed company.
Yeah.
And Home Depot, you'll find me.
But yeah, so you're sitting there, you're waiting for that 2,600. I was there when wasn't Webby your 2,500?
Webby was our 2,500 just over 2 years.
Yeah, Churchill. And that day I tried to run to the winner's circle for you.
I know.
Because you're like, go get the trophy.
Go get the trophy.
You weren't there.
Yeah. We had to come home because my mom wasn't doing well. And she subsequently passed away 3 weeks after that race. actually. So not to bring
Sorry.
a downer to the
No.
show, but yeah. So Webby went in the 2500 had a lot of meaning for a lot of reasons. It was like the last horse my mom ever named too. So there was a lot of really cool stuff. He actually he was supposed to run in
the Bowling Green.
Yeah, in the Bowling Green against Far Bridge, and
there's Webby.
There's Webby. Look how thin I am. Jesus Christ, that was. And look, you always look like you're 18 years old. So there's Webby. Immediately, like I'm scratching him, and he's like, "No, Ren, mommy." looking at her.
Webby was one of the 2-year-olds we featured way back for Future Stars Friday card.
Yep, he's leading our 4-year-old group, and he will run probably at Ellis Park in the Kentucky Downs preview, I think it is, or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, going 10 furlongs on the turf.
That's awesome.
He'll run there in about 3 weeks. I think it's August 2nd or 3rd.
Awesome. It is whoever's going to be riding him, they just got to know, don't leave him too much to do.
Don't leave him too much to do. Yeah.
Don't leave him too much to do, because once he's able to get that momentum going and stretch.
Yeah. Well, he gets a little lazy on you. He's like, "Hey, this is fun. This galloping stuff. This is cool. Hey, how you doing?" And then all of a sudden he'll be like, "Oh, I'm 15 lengths behind." And try to catch up. So yeah,
got to keep him happy. Now let's talk.
Awake.
Okay, we're at almost 2 hours. Okay, we have almost 1,337 people watching live right now. Quietly, but watching live.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Of course we do.
And
which is a new record.
It is. Now, is there something I feel like you're going the route? You're going like what they do with the dressage horses. A lot of, for example, in the Holsteiners, what they'll do is like whatever the sire's name is, the first letter of his name, you name all the progeny with that same letter.
That's Vekoma.
And so, with Vekoma, you've got Vanish and you have Vanity, both by Vekoma.
Right. And Vernon Valley and Voodoo.
And yes. so that this wasn't just coincidence. There was like, we're naming all the Vekomas with these.
That started off with Vixen.
Okay.
From the year before, and Vixen was so good that I always remember Vixen's the Vekoma. Vixen's the Vekoma.
Got you.
That's just an alliteration that I remember. So now, the majority of the Vekomas that we buy are named V-letter names, except for Alpeland, which is a whole different story altogether. But so Vekoma, for those of you who know at home, and I'm sure most of you do, but Ren does not know this, what the name Vekoma means, or where it's generated from. So Vekoma is actually the name of a company in Europe that designs and builds roller coasters.
I did not know this.
Yes, neither did I. I had to look it up, just like you just looked up the berry. The Opon, which sounds like a yogurt.
It sounds like Grey Poupon.
Yeah, Grey Poupon. Exactly. Anyway, so again, we digress. So Vekoma is this European roller coaster company. Yeah. When Michelle and I, my wife and I, were in Europe a few years ago, we went on one of their very first wooden roller coasters that the Vekoma company built in a place called Alpeland, which is in the Alps.
There you go.
And that's why we named that colt Alpeland, even though all the other Vekomas are named V names.
Oh, there you go. Makes sense.
Yep.
Oh, hi, Ruth. Ruth says, first time watcher. Thank you for joining. Have enjoyed Jon since his TDN podcast days. Cool podcast you have here. Thank you so much, Ruth. And I love the photo of your horses. Beautiful.
Yes. And thank you for being such a loyal listener. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I actually have, let's see. So Vanish by Vekoma out of free 99 by Honor Code. I love that because you're getting like some speed over the Honor Code, the AP&D line, and Vekoma is by Candy Ride. So I love all this. So she was 120,000 OBS April. You're partnered with Eclipse on her.
Correct. Yeah.
Same with Vixen, right?
Same with Vixen. So Vixen we bought on our own, and then when she was racing as a 2-year-old, we brought in Aaron Wellman and and his group over at Eclipse, which you talk about our program doing really well. How about the Eclipse group? I mean, they're just kicking ass, taking names all over the place. But that's Vanish. So again, we were both on the same horse, and because of my relationship with Aaron, and because he's a mensch, he's a good guy. He was like, "Why are we bidding against each other?" So, we were both willing to go much higher on the horse, much to the chagrin of the seller and the consignor. But we were able to kind of both avoid bidding against each other and bought her at a reasonable price.
Nice. Well, she looks lovely. What is the plan for her?
So Vanish is going to run probably in the first week or so of August at Ellis.
Cool. She has a lot of some notable names there in the pedigree, like Moscow Ballet, Stravinsky, Enterprising.
Yep.
So very nice. The other one, I don't have a
turf.
Yes. The other filly, I don't have anything on. Talking about Vanity, Vacoma out of Tapping by Tappet, 140K yearling, mom multiple grade 3 placed. What's going on with her? Where's she at?
So she is also going to run at Ellis, probably in the sprint race on the 26th.
All right.
At Ellis. And my understanding is that there's a lot of scuttlebutt of some fillies that are going to be entering that day. So we'll see if we get in, and we'll also see. I mean, I think that's going to be a key race working backwards without knowing even who's going to be in there. Just the stuff that I'm hearing.
Okay,
that's going to be a key race. That will be a race where I'm sure there's going to be a Rail Talk Citation or a Rising Star coming out of. But that makes sense.
Disclaimer, everybody. No. Let's talk about Ball of Fire. Okay, this one is also Joe Orsino.
Yep.
This one's already been gelded. Why Joey?
Yeah. He was a bad boy. Yeah, he was a bad boy. So Ball of Fire is a horse that that we bought out of the 2-year-old sale. He was a gallop only.
Yes.
And you know that I've been on a soapbox about the importance of horses doing what they can do. So if your horse can go in 9 and 4, God bless you, we're going 9 and 4. But there's a lot of horses that are in 2-year-old sales that just aren't ready to go that fast, that early, and have to be encouraged to the point where it's probably detrimental to them. So we've been striving to try to get horses to gallop, and Sandman was one of them. We've been able to to include some gallop only horses in the sale. And this horse was one that Niall Brennan was consigning, I believe, for Mount Brilliant. And they had 2 or 3 horses in the sale designated as gallop onlys. And that's why we were, drawn to him initially. And then when we watched him walk and we watched him around the barn and everything, he was he's going to be a big 2-turn beast.
Nice.
Needs to have the time to develop. And he was getting to the point where he was being really studdish and really difficult to manage and handle. And, my feeling has always been that we have to keep safety first and foremost in everyone's mind. So if it's good for the horse and good for the people working around the horse and is better to have him gelded, then we're not afraid to do that. And maybe if the horse goes on to become, a grade 1 winner, we may have left money on the table in his stallion rights, but the odds of that happening to any horse, that's not a great bet to make. Yeah. So we just wanted safety to be first, and it's best for the horse and best for the people.
This one by Munnings out of Ursula by Tappet.
Yep.
And Munnings, by the way, 1X. She was stakes place, half sister to multimillionaire Hartnell. And the family also includes another millionaire and champion Suave Dancer.
Deep family, wasn't ready to breeze at that point. And again, we actually don't have a lot of partners. We're just bringing up a lot of these partnership horses, but this is one that we own in partnership with
Robert Cotran.
With Robert Cotran, who we own Hades with, and a couple other horses, 2-year-olds as well. And he's just a phenomenal guy and a super partner. And basically, he named the horse, actually. He named the horse.
Oh, nice.
Because the horse just, when the light hits him, has a lot of chrome and a lot of looks like a ball of fire. So I'm very pleased that Robert, is a part of this horse with us.
And then you had a last minute addition of, maybe we should talk about this horse because she just fired a bullet. Rockin' Robin, tweet. This one's by Spun to Run, who won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile out of Windsor Capri. Capri is beautiful, by the way, everybody. If you ever have the opportunity, go. And Windsor Capri, daughter Bernardini. We love Bernardini
Yep.
as a horse, champion 3-year-old, son of AP Indy, late great Bernardini. But he's also proven to be a tremendous broodmare sire. This one cost only $77,000 at the OBS open sale.
Right. And was a horse that, again, not pedigreed to the point of some of these other ones that you mentioned, just as an athlete and just as a horse that is going to be ready to be a quick return on investment. We bought her in June, and 4 or 5 weeks after we bought her, she's going to be in the entry box. So, I'm excited about how quickly that one's turned around and is ready for the races. But
not to confuse people, because the horse we're talking about now is not the horse on the screen. Let me stop sharing the screen.
It's Rockin' Robin, which is named after the old song, and also my daughter's name is Robin.
Yeah.
And
the family, another fun fact, family includes Breeders' Cup Classic champ Ravens Pass, who's also a Group 1 winner, obviously. Yeah. So that's very cool. And I mean, this is just a few of the horses on the DJ roster. Who do you think has, before I let you go here, because your bladder must be crying out for relief?
No, I already released before, so I'm good.
Underneath,
I can.
Oh my gosh. What horse?
Well, I totally threw you. I threw you, and you're blushing.
You did, because I was like, for a second, I didn't know if you were making a joke, like you did, like under the table, like there's a bucket or something. I don't know.
I have an old Coke can underneath.
So it made me uncomfortable. I was like, ew.
Oh my god.
Oh no, if somebody screenshots it, that will look terrible. Going.
Yes.
So anyway, 2,599.
Yes.
Who gives you 2,600? If you were a wagering man.
Oh, if I was a wagering man?
If you were a wagering man, who gives you that 20?
I thought you were going to say who would I've liked it to be.
Okay, well, who would you like it to be, and who do you think it will be?
I would love it to be a horse that I know we're going to keep around, like a Nitrogen or a horse like that. Just because, again, I'd be able to remember it. I'd be able to. It would have great meaning for me. All bets are off. I told Joe Orsino, like he had a 2-year-old that we ran on Sunday at Monmouth and ran third, and he said, "I'm sorry I couldn't win that race for you. I really wanted to be 2,600." And I said, "Joe, I appreciate that. He's had horses with us for 30 years." I said, "I really appreciate that." I said, "But honestly, I thought that horse was going to be, win number 2,605. Like I had in my head, that that was like, it was a no brainer by the time we got to Sunday. So I'm not making any projections or any prognostications as to who it's going to be. I can just tell you that we're very blessed that we've been able to be in this business for 40 plus years. I'm very passionate, as you can see, about the industry. I try to call out hypocrisy when I can. But at the end of the day, it's really such a phenomenal business. And other than my children, my favorite, events in my life have gone on because of horse racing. Yeah. And I hope that everybody who's listening and watching has a passion, whether it's for this industry or for something else. Because I do this 80, 100 hours a week, and it's not work at all. I mean, I could talk about horses all day long until I didn't have a voice anymore, and I would still have more that I wanted to hear and say. And I thank you, Ren, for me a lot about pedigrees, and telling me and reminding me of things that I've long forgotten. But I hope that it's that kind of a fiery passion for your listeners and for your audience. And thank you again for having me on here and for breaking not only the attendance record but also the longevity record.
Well, we always expect the stamina when we know Jon Green is coming
distance.
on.
I'm a distance horse. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Guys, Jon, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing all these babies, get through into, you know, their debuts, and then in some of these cases, their next starts and what lies ahead. You always have such a lit roster of horses because you really do put in the time and effort to find those athletes. So thank you for sharing some of the insight on these babies. And we're looking forward to seeing more from you, and not just on track, but also with Rail Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you everyone for listening and putting up with all of our nonsense. I genuinely appreciate that. And if anyone's going to be up at Saratoga, you know, the first week of August, please, by all means, you know, tap Ren on the shoulder and say, how dare you have Jon Green on your show? What an idiot he is.
I thought that was going to go something like say hi.
Please come up and I would love to talk to you. I'd love to hear about your stories in the industry and what lights your passion about the business, and maybe even have you on the show. So thank you for everything that you do, and for Matt. And I can't wait to break bread with you up in Saratoga.
Let's do it. Everybody, this has been your Future Stars Forecast on 2-Year-Old Tuesday, featuring Jon Green of DJ Stables. Thanks so much. We'll check you back here next week.